Drake doesn't get asked. Like, he's not asked, like, are you hard enough or anything like that, even though Drake's life is really my life.
Two truths and a lie. Donald Glover is an actor, rapper, and my biological father. Trick question, they're all true, so let me give you a real one. Is this man white?
And let's be clear, it's 2 white people up for a Grammy this year. Iggy Azalea and Childish Gambino. Let's talk about that, because on Twitter you said I want to be a white rapper.
Growing up, like, I was so different from everybody. Like, I was like the only black kid at my school for a while.
Being young and black in America is schizophrenic. I know how I have to act when I'm in certain situations. You have to kind of change who you are a little bit all the time.
You look out of place, though. You look like I don't really
I'm out of
wanna
place
be here.
everywhere. I don't think there's any place I really fit in.
But he legit felt like he was like, listen, the thing about it is... Comment that was like, oh, we're gonna make Spider-Man black now? We're just gonna make Spider-Man black now?
Because whiteness is...
Leighton Observes.
Hello and welcome back to the Leighton Observes channel. It is I, the Leighton in question, and today we are going to be talking about Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, aka the first person to teach me that you can be an actor, rapper, comedian, producer, writer, make this face whilst wearing this grandma sweater, all in the same person. So this is probably one of my earliest introductions, my earliest memories of Donald Glover, which I remember from about 10 years ago or so. Prior to stumbling upon Donald Glover, the closest parallel that I had to the kind of modern day Renaissance man, so to speak, was somebody like Bo Burnham. But of course, it's different when it comes to Donald Glover, because Donald Glover is black. Or is he?
Oh man, stay black.
I'm not. I don't want to be on. Look, I really don't want to be a part of it.
At least say free R. Kelly to camera.
I suspect if you were to ask a Donald Glover, Childish Gambino fan from the years 2009 to 13 or so, they would probably be quite surprised at how famous that this man, this geezer, has gotten within the past 10 years. And on top of that, probably quite surprised by how ingratiated he has become within a black culture, so to speak, because once upon a time, that was certainly not the case. You know, on one hand, Donald Glover's life seemingly tells the story of a man trying his best to qualify himself as being black, so to speak, whatever that means, being black, whereas on another hand, it tells the story of a man trying to almost transcend the ideas of race altogether. Whatever camp you fall into, there is definitely a moment within public consciousness, say, that Donald Glover became black. And was that in 2018? Was that in 2016? Was it in a time completely different? But that question aside, what was clear, what was unambiguous at the time, is that prior to that moment that Donald Glover became black, Donald Glover was a racial outcast.
You look out of place, though. You look like I don't really
I'm out of
wanna be
place
here.
everywhere. I don't think there's any place I really fit in.
Growing up, like, I was so different from everybody. Like, I felt so alone, I guess.
I think it's interesting when people aren't allowed in the group. The universal group.
So we see examples of Donald Glover's race dysphoria, if you will, pretty early on in some of his lyrics under the moniker of Childish Gambino. He says, because I ain't get down with them other kids, probably because I talk too white and I've got a dad who's there. So these are some kind of snide or contemptuous lyrics, if you will, from a relatively unknown song called The Last on the album, the body of work, Cul-de-sac from 2010. And so obviously before albums like Awaken My Love and before songs like This Is America. Who are the other kids, I hear you ask? The other black kids, of course. Why don't they like Donald? Because he does something that he refers to as talking too white, which we'll get to later.
Were you told as a child you talk white?
Sometimes. I've been told you speak so well, probably more than anybody.
Because nobody was jockeying my style, because I had a high voice, they called me Fat 8 Mile. I'm not laughing at homophobia, I'm laughing at my voice reading rap lyrics in my British accent. So once again, we have a relation to a white person. We have that in the form of Eminem, who is the protagonist of the film 8 Mile. You probably didn't need me to explain that, but, you know, history, rap history. On top of that though, not only is Donald Glover made out to be white, he's also made out to be gay, open bracket, derogatory, which is a allegation, a suspicion that would follow this man well into his 20s.
And you're not homosexual.
Nah, I mean,
because people will be like, oh, he don't want to smash Janae Aiko, he's celibate, oh, he's gay.
I mean,
And he's from Atlanta?
maybe I am. Like, I don't know, but it's like I haven't really tried. Man, I've just been in a different place. Like,
Really?
I mean, it's like, look, I'm reading like news. Like, I'm
Place
just,
is that? Is it Mars?
place?
Is it Gayland?
it's just,
Is that the place you're in?
Dude, I wish I was gay. Then I know what was going on. Then I'd be like, oh, I'm depressed because I want to fuck dudes.
Now, I don't know what was in the water for radio DJs some 10 plus years ago specifically, but for supposedly straight dudes, they seem to care an awful lot about other men's sexualities. It's a little bit sus is all I'm saying. So before we go on to talk about how Donald Glover became black, we need to talk about what it means to be black in the first place. And so before I go on to extrapolate later, we're going to be setting the foundation, setting the base for how we're going to come to such a definition. We're going to look at season 3, episode 9 of Atlanta, which is both written and directed by Donald Glover, so you know that it's close to his chest. Baby boy. He wanted to sprinkle his own special sauce on it. It was important to him, is what I'm saying. The episode is called Rich Wigger, Poor Wigger. Let's jump in right now. Before anything else, we're introduced to the bedroom of our protagonist, a Post Malone poster, Nike or Nike shoes for you Americans that notably aren't Air Force Ones, and Logan Paul comedy tour memorabilia. The camera then rests on Aaron, a teenage boy using a flamethrower to kill his enemies in a video game.
This nigga jerking off to women. You jerking, bro?
Jerking off to this kill I'm about to get.
What the fuck you just say?
Aaron is racially ambiguous, and the artistic choice to make the episode black and white only reinforces this further.
Nigga, that was lame as hell. You good as shit, bro. You must not get no pussy. I'm too busy fucking to get good at this game.
Kate, who we soon find out to be Aaron's girlfriend, texts him, "I got in," something you'd imagine is cause for celebration, and yet Aaron doesn't seem happy. In fact, he seems to be the opposite of happy.
By your mom over here, you want to talk to her? Oh, wait. She too busy with my dick in her mouth. Hey, pass it to me, bro.
Hey, why don't you two niggers go find your dads, okay?
Is Aaron racist, or is he just using gamer slurs?
Get the fucking banana. Shut the fuck up.
Aaron, anxious, looks at the ASC website before the scene ends. The following morning, on the way to school, the radio tells us that a black man was recently shot by police, thought to be reaching for a gun when in fact it was just his phone. A male voice who we learn to belong to Aaron's dad interjects.
You see why I don't want you hanging out with your friends in the cab? Them cops are looking for a reason to kill young black men.
I don't think I have that problem.
At this point, it's unclear whether Aaron's saying this because he thinks he wouldn't be in a situation to be shot by police, or because he's acknowledging that he doesn't look black. His dad responds.
You got your friends at school, fool, but I know you got that big ass nose. And it ain't your mama.
It's awkward. Aaron asks,
You take a look at that FAFSA information like I asked?
His dad responds saying he's not signing anything, concluding,
If you want to get it in that school, you'll figure it out.
Aaron's dad then tells him to save, to which Aaron says that he saved $4,000, but ASC cost $5,000 a year.
Woo! Damn, that's too bad, son. Looks like you ain't gonna be getting in that school.
Character, goal, obstacle. How is Aaron going to pull this off? After a polarizing interaction with his girlfriend, novelty strikes.
Oh my god.
Seniors, please report to the auditorium.
That's weird.
One lengthy introduction later, guest speaker Robert Shea Lee, played by Kevin Samuels of all people, announces he's donating $1 million to the school and changing its name in honor of himself. But wait, there's more.
I am going to pay every single senior's college tuition.
Cheering, celebrations, forehead kisses ensue before the caveat.
Who's black?
The smile fades from Aaron's face. Despite the fact we've just seen Aaron riding in the car with his black father, Aaron doesn't seem all too confident that he is black. Wait. Auditions? We track along the hallway, skimming over every student attempting to seize their chance at tuition, and then we're told
he picking was actually black. Crazy, right? I was giving it a shot.
The equation that was once character goal and obstacle now includes a trial.
Shouldn't it be based on, like, your parents?
A descriptive, ethnicity-based approach to race.
He doesn't believe that ADOS necessitates blackness. He's really talking about the culture of black in America.
A prescriptive, cultural approach to race.
Yo, could you wave check me?
Which lens is most important?
Hey! Red Bone! Yeah, you! Oh. You up next? Come on.
We're about to find out.
Good luck.
Hello? Come into the light.
What's your name, boy?
Aaron.
You say Aaron?
It's kind of black. It's in the Bible.
And then the trial begins.
We're going to ask you a few questions. Name me 6 things that mix with Hennessy.
Aaron struggles through.
Coke, mango, coconut, and ice.
All right.
Now he's just making up shit.
The trial intensifies.
Bobby and Whitney are Will and Jada.
Whitney. No. Jada.
Where's the first place you take your cousin after you get out of jail?
Sobe Lizard Milk. NBA Youngboy. Silk pillow covers.
Take this pencil, go make a beat on that table.
And concludes.
But the tribunal has concluded that we are not giving you the scholarship.
Wait, why?
You ain't black, boy.
Aaron argues back.
But my dad's black.
Well, then have him come here, and then I'll give him the scholarship. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that nigga ain't go to college.
He snaps.
This isn't fair. You're not giving me the scholarship because I'm light-skinned?
You are white! He just told you blacks only. He couldn't answer any of the questions, could he? He's white!
And there you have it. Being black isn't about skin tone or ethnicity, it's about whether you can
spell Dante.
DQ or Popeyes.
What soda is good for you?
Isn't this video supposed to be about Donald Glover? I hear you ask. Don't worry, baby boy, we're getting there. We just needed our 2 Donald Glover relevant ways of defining what being black means, and we got them. But there's still one more critical scene we need to understand before we get to Donald Glover's Blackness timeline. So, continuing until we get to that scene, Aaron complains to his dad about the audition.
This guy's a psycho. Dad, I won't get to go to college because this guy's racist or colorist or whatever. Fuck this dude.
Whoa. Calm down, Kemosabe.
Aaron notices that Kate, his girlfriend, messaged someone back on Instagram.
Who is DeAndre and why are you talking to him?
I wasn't. He commented on my page.
Kate tells Aaron to calm down.
Don't tell me to chill. If this was some chick I met on tour at ASC, you'd be living and you fucking know it.
No, I wouldn't, because I know you're not going to ASC.
Kate, realizing they're soon to be going in different directions, pulls the plug on their relationship.
We should just end this now.
Aaron, now in the throes of an anime villain arc, returns to the first-person shooter we saw him playing at the beginning of the episode, except this time even more tormented.
You are white!
He Googles how to make a flamethrower, makes a flamethrower, then walks through the suburbs towards his school in the black of night. Upon reaching the now Robert Shea Lee High School, he realizes he's with company.
Who are you? Felix? Who are you?
Aaron asks Felix if he was also turned away as not black, to which Felix says,
My parents are from Nigeria. I was born there, but I don't even remember. I'm from Lithuania.
It's here where Aaron's perception of race ostensibly crystallize, with his beliefs now falling more in line with the black men's who disowned him.
I understand what he means. You're not really black. You have an entire culture to pull from. You can trace your lineage, and you have a country to go home to. It's not really black.
Felix fires back.
Oh, I'm blacker than you. You look like fucking Frankie Muniz. Think if I walk down the street in your neighborhood, they're not gonna stop me because I'm African?
The tension escalates between Aaron and Felix until Aaron says,
Listen, I really don't care anymore. I'm burning the school down. Excuse me. With what? Your little bargain bin flamethrower? Nigga, I'm burning this school down.
You know what? What if I burn you first? Oh wait, too late.
Was that a dark skin joke?
Aaron and Felix play flamethrower-equipped cat and mouse around the campus. Aaron loses his shoes and flamethrower while Felix gains the upper hand.
This is where the black kids eat.
While Felix is transported into an ambulance, dressing gown wearing Robert Shea Lee interrogates him on burning down his school.
Did you try to burn my school down?
But then Robert softens and concludes that
Getting shot by the police is the blackest thing anybody can do.
the ultimate, unequivocal black card.
Here's your scholarship check, okay?
Thank you, sir.
Just get better.
Thank you, sir.
Now, not only is Felix ethnically black, being of African descent, he's further validated as culturally black too. By comparison, Aaron, watching him from afar in a cop car who's ethnically at least half black, remains symbolically white until... Interior electronics store day.
You know, shit was crazy. You know, just try to keep your head down, lay low, you be good, you know?
We pick up with Aaron. Chain around neck, fade in hair, black scent in voice.
But yeah, my P.O. cool and all. Still a pain in my ass though. Nigga act like he owned me or some shit.
Kate enters the scene.
This is my favorite type right here. They don't pay me enough to tell you that, but I fuck with it, you feel me? So.
Aaron?
Aaron tells the customer to mention him at checkout, then encourages her to text him. Clearly, he was rizzing her up before we, the audience, became voyeurs to this scene. She leaves. He watches her leave and brushes his hair, saying,
That ass stupid. What's up?
Kate and Aaron exchange words. Aaron's good, ASC's great, the electronics store is...
Same old shit, different day. You know how it goes.
It's awkward. Kate starts to leave. Aaron watches her leave, admiringly, then says his final words.
Can I be honest with you? I've never been more attracted to you in my life.
Kate stands there stunned, as do we, the audience. So, what did we learn? We learned that there are two ways of defining what blackness is, what race is. One that is descriptive and one that is prescriptive. Felix was the emissary for a descriptive idea of race. A blackness defined by ethnicity, biology, genetics, phenotype. By contrast, Kevin Samuel's character had a prescriptive idea of race. In order to be black, you must act like this. Blackness is this, blackness is these behaviors. You can almost think about it in the same way that masculinity is homosocial, which is to say that it's judged by men on how, masculine another man is. You can almost think of blackness as being intraracial, which is to say it's judged, for the most part at least, by other black members. It's an in-group focus. To an extent, what constitutes as blackness can almost be considered a performance, and this is made most overt in that in order to qualify as black, he literally had to perform in front of a black council, so to speak. And it's impossible to know what side of the fence Donald Glover falls upon, whether he falls on the prescriptive or descriptive side, partially because this geezer doesn't like to explain his art.
Obviously, Childish Gambino, This Is America video, blowing up, it's huge. Can you explain what's happening at the end of that video?
No.
However, as a stand-in, I'm happy to share my own thoughts. I think that this episode serves to be almost a parody, so to speak, of a prescriptive definition of race, a prescriptive definition of blackness being the so-called correct answer. Because although the prescriptive idea of race wins, you know, Aaron changes, we as the audience are left feeling fairly uncomfortable. Aaron feels fake, you know? It's almost as if you have Tyreek Withers playing Aaron, who's playing a idea of what it means to be black, a almost like black persona, if you will. It's almost as if he's having a trauma response to not being able to pass the black test, and so he's created this almost amalgamation of what he believes blackness to be. His appearance has changed, his dialect has changed, he's into ass now. This is a complete aside, right? But what's funny is that, and I don't think that Donald Glover bore this in mind, so, you know, geezers like me can hop online on the internet and make my little video essays and things, but what's funny is that, statistically speaking, right, preferring ass over titties might actually be the blackest thing that you could actually do. The correlation goes dummy, is what I'm saying. It's almost as if Aaron is hyper aware that he's playing a character, that he's playing a persona, in that he literally breaks the fourth wall and looks at us, the audience, as the credits roll. He's so hyper aware that he's being observed, and it's like, did I pass the test, you know?
That ass stupid.
So, what's more important, being black or performing being black? If you look out to the sea of pop culture and pop culture analysis, you will probably conclude that the performance of being black is actually more important than actually being black, which is why now YouTubers are making videos about how an echidna, a green alien, and a literal white girl are something called black-coded.
Sam from iCarly and Rex from Victorious are black. Now I know that sounds like a really insane thing to say, but just stay with me, you'll see where I'm coming from eventually.
How about no?
What I'm gonna do is rank these non-black characters to see if they're black or not. A Knuckles, that is a whole black man. Like, that is an actual black Jamaican man.
We have a whole list of characters that aren't necessarily technically black. Hell, their voice actors might not even be black, but we know they're black. The first one on this list gotta be Piccolo. Undisputed. If wearing a do-rag wasn't enough for you, this motherfucker just had black energy, all right? Whenever he was on screen, you knew that motherfucker was black. If I was to say Sonic is not white, it'd be a problem, right? Like, Sonic is clearly white, right? So Knuckles was the only black character in there. Maybe I'll give you Shadow, because Shadow was so with the shits that, like, no nigga grabs a pistol the way Shadow grabs a pistol and isn't a nigga, so I just know for a fact he's black.
Fascinating.
I also got Raphael from the Ninja Turtles.
What the Kevin Samuels character and some of the videos that I just showed you demonstrate is the ideology of race essentialism. To be black is not merely about skin tone, it's about behavior also. These characters demonstrate blackness, therefore they're actually black. Their essence, their racial essence is black. White people act like this, black people look like that. Isn't it? Bro, hang on, I just had to realize it. I swear there's like a skit from the Simpsons episode in like the 90s doing this literal bit.
Black guys drive a car like this. Ding ding. Yeah, but white guys, see, they drive a car like this.
It's like, how has it been over 20 years and we still haven't progressed as a society? Like, come on, dog. Come on, dude. I don't even say dog. I don't even know why I did that. Am I trying to be black-coded? Come on, dog. I don't know. That's more New York, if anything. Anyway, alternatively, you can have somebody that is black, but because they don't adhere to the prescriptive ideas of what it means to be black, that they become liable, they become at the risk of being called a coon, Oreo, Uncle Tom, etc. All things that Donald Glover has had happen to him over the course of his life. With that being said, stereotypes are not the only way to essentialize what a race is, or the things that are essential to that race, let's say. There are other features that can be considered essential to a race, and so, for black people, one of the things that commonly gets attributed to them as being essential for them, or is at least acted as though it's essential for them, is the quality of coming from a place of deprivation, let's say. And so I have a quote to share with you from a man that means almost as much to black people as Piccolo does, Martin Luther King. The average Negro is born into want and deprivation. His struggle to escape his circumstances is hindered by colour discrimination. He is deprived of normal education and normal social and economic opportunities. When he seeks opportunity, he is told, in effect, to lift himself by his own bootstraps, advice which does not take into account the fact that he is barefoot. That, again, is from Martin Luther King from Why We Can't Wait. It's essentially saying that deprivation, discrimination are central to, is the uniting factor for black people. That is their essence. And so what's strange then is that given Donald's background, even though he has those characteristics, you know, a life characterized by deprivation, by discrimination and so on, he still wasn't considered black.
Race matters. Like it does. Like I know how I have to act when I'm in certain situations. I know how I have to act in these situations. I know what this person thinks of me. I've been told you speak so well, probably more than anybody. I'm wearing a grandma sweater, but I'm still a black male. I still have to wear this grandma sweater when I go see my grandma in the Bronx, who lives in a shitty neighborhood, who my cousin just got stabbed in the neck and shot twice. Drake doesn't get asked. Like, he's not asked, like, are you hard enough or anything like that, even though Drake's life is really my life. Like, my life is really that. I really grew up in the hood. I really grew up in KKK, like, town. Like,
despite having an upbringing characterized by discrimination and deprivation, Donald Glover was not considered canonically black. But that perception, that narrative started to shift as the years went on. The most recent catalyst in that public perception comes in the form of 2018's
This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now.
Which, fun bit of trivia for you.
It started as a Drake diss, to be honest.
This is America shows the representation of the black experience as being caught in a tempest of entertainment and chaos. It's a sentiment of, hey, don't look at all these cultural issues happening, check out these cool dance moves instead.
Gambino's words, paired with his violence in the video, illustrate the uncomfortable part of being black in America.
In 2016, Donald Glover created the show Atlanta, which on the surface documents rapper Paperboy's ascent to stardom, but then implicit has themes of what it means to be black in America through something that the kids are referring to as Afro-surrealism.
Constructed in weirdness and poetry. To Dumas's work, Baraka applied the term Afro-surreal expressionism.
I've been suspecting that Donald Glover has been aware of Afro-surrealism for quite some time now. In fact, when I saw This Is America video, I pointed to it and I said, that's Afro-surreal. Then I saw Kendrick Lamar's All Right video, where it's got cops carrying a car. That's Afro-surreal too.
In 2009, Donald Glover's race was addressed for the first time in this hilarious exchange in Community.
I'm saying you're a football player. It's in your blood.
That's racist.
Your soul.
That's racist.
Your eyes.
That's gay.
That's homophobic.
That's black.
That's racist.
Damn.
Maybe for some people, Donald Glover was always culturally black, you know, as far back as he popped out on the scene, you know, from 2007 with Derek Comedy. The moment that I think that Donald's blackness, however, whether you consider that descriptively or prescriptively, the moment that it became unavoidable, it became undeniable, the moment that I think it became the most salient, like all important things in life, began with a hashtag.
And maybe, you know, Spider-Man, maybe he doesn't have to be white. And then somebody put a big picture of me in the comments. It was like, Donald Glover can play Spider-Man. He's nerdy.
Donald for Spider-Man was a half jokey, half serious campaign to, you guessed it, get Donald Glover for Spider-Man.
You know, kind of joke, but also like, who doesn't want to be Spider-Man? That'd be cool. And that's when the world went crazy.
Crazy how, Donald?
Half the world was like, Donald for Spider-Man. We're only gonna watch the next Spider-Man if Donald Glover's playing Peter Parker. And the other half was like, he's black, kill him! Like, it was so fast.
And so, there it is. After a whole life of being ostracized for not being black or not being black enough, finally, at long last, Donald Glover is acknowledged as being truly black and, at that very moment, instantly paid the price.
We're gonna make Spider-Man black now? We're just gonna make Spider-Man black now? That's what we're gonna do? We're just gonna make Spider-Man black? That's what we're gonna do? We're gonna make Spider-Man black now? We're gonna make Spider-Man black, 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 black. I was getting like, all these nerds were hitting me up on Twitter and emailing me and shit, and they were calling me like nigger, and like they were like, you fucking nigger, don't fucking take Peter Parker from us. Like, dude, Peter Parker's fucking white, you dumb nigger. Like they literally all over the place. And these are nerds. These are nerds.
Whoa, I guess Donald really was black. He experiences racism just like the rest of us. Brazy. So Donald Glover is no stranger to racism. This geezer had been experiencing it his whole life, after all. The duality of too white for the black kids and now too black for the white kids, the racist ones anyway.
And I was like, I wasn't really surprised by that. I was like, you know, people are racist, that's whatever. But
the thing that really rubbed Donald the wrong way, pause, is that pause? The thing that rubbed him the wrong way, that's a little bit pause, bro. The thing that rubbed Donald Glover the wrong way about the whole Donald for Spider-Man ordeal is that for some people, they merely could not compute that somebody could have the characteristics of Peter Parker and be black at the same time, as though those things were fundamentally incongruent.
The thing that got me, there was this one letter, and it was written really nice. Obviously the guy was like trying not to ruffle any feathers, but he legit felt like he was like, listen, the thing about it is there's no black kids like Peter Parker. And that, like, that infuriated me. Like I couldn't handle it, because I was like, it's fucking 2011 and you don't think there's a black kid who lives with his aunt in Queens who likes science? Like, you just like, who takes photography? Like, it's like, I just couldn't, it was just made me so mad.
There's a myriad of reasons why this person writing to Donald could have felt that this was true. Maybe most / all of their exposure to black people was merely through media representation, and they really had not been exposed to somebody that was both Peter Parker-esque and black at the same time. Or, and what I think is probably more likely, is that that person just had preconceived notions of what black could be, black could look like, black could do.
Donald, what kind of rap music you into, and what kind of sneakers you like? And I was like, oh, I don't really like rap music. I really enjoy the soulful stylings of the Cranberries.
And just kind of like tunnel visioned confirmation bias. Here's what black people are, and so everything else I will just become invisible to.
And they were like, nah, man, you like sneakers and you like rap music, and you go tell us which one you like. I was like, oh, you're hurting me, Steven, you know?
For a lot of people, Donald Glover was one of the first black celebrities to act out of the confines of what black meant, and for the early 2010s, that was fucking mind-blowing for people.
But that's what makes you a culturally important artist, is that you represent a person that no one felt they could talk to, which is, I'm really black. I also have qualities about me that previously people considered to be white.
Right.
And that's really me too. It was the same thing that Odd Future had tapped into a little bit too, which is that black kids have a much more diverse interest base than anyone has ever given them credit for previously, right? Or there weren't other artists that were able to get to a point where they could express that.
The movement, or whatever's happening right now, whatever I'm doing, like...
Movement? A movement to both be black and have eclectic interests at the same time. Is that what the movement is? That is what the movement was.
Because like people called us like New Black. I remember on Twitter.
Oh,
like
I
that
get
was
that
like
too.
people like, yeah,
I
you get that?
I get that. I'm a
You
New
get
Black.
that?
Yes.
Really?
Absolutely.
You don't see New Black to me.
I get New Black.
Really? For what? Your like views on what?
So based on that context, I thought that New Black, at least colloquially, was essentially about black people existing outside of the normative purview or paradigm of what is expected or allowed of black people. And again, colloquially, I think that is essentially what it meant. I should also point out, for the sake of context, that actually New Black was a coined term from a geezer called Lee Hawkins in a book called Newbos, The Rise of America's New Black Overclass. The issue with New Black, however, is that however you define it, whether it's about, let's say, financial abundance or imaginative abundance, there's still this kind of undertone of, oh, I'm New Black, I'm not like those other blacks, you know, is a little bit goofy sounding. Fundamentally, all you're left again with is division. You know, you have New Black, and then what are the other blacks called? The old blacks? What are we talking about, bro? Just another set of expectations to live up to, you know? Another definition, another box, another version of a person to be marketed to.
Whatever movement that like is happening right now, like I would like to think like I'm a leader of whatever movement is happening. Like people call it new black, people call it whatever, but I don't want to name it because it's BS to name it. And that's as soon as it gets named, that's when you start marketing it. And it's like, oh, this is hipster. It's like, because hipster was cool until it became hipster. Like that was the thing, like when it was starting, it was like, yeah, these dudes like kind of are on the cutting edge of culture and art, and they're trying to like make roads for things that wouldn't usually get roads. And then it became like monetized.
When defining who you are, I would always be an advocate of having as many options presented to you as possible. You know, you want ample choices to pick from for who you are going to be, let's say. But when it's merely a multiplication of two, seemingly rather than picking from the two boxes provided, let's say, what Donald did instead was forget the boxes altogether. Why pick from the two limited boxes when you can just absent yourself from the paradigm altogether?
I want people to understand, like, that's what I'm fighting for. Like, okay. I'm fighting to be me. That's it, just to be me. I want us to be us, and also understand that this is important.
You know, so far we've been talking about how Donald's life almost looks like it's the story of somebody that wasn't black and then went on this conquest to prove themselves as black, that person getting it, and then, as I foreshadowed in the beginning of the video, how they'll then go on to subvert it, so to speak. And so now allow me to take a wrecking ball to every single thing that I have said throughout this video by presenting to you the time that Donald Glover wished that he was white. In a series of now deleted tweets from 2014, he said, "Childish Gambino is a white rapper. I want to be a white rapper. I want to be so white I'm the biggest rapper of all time. I want to be so white I can have a #1 song with cursing and parents are fine with it. I hope I'm so white they let my friend out of jail sooner. I hope I'm so big and so white my cousin wasn't shot and stabbed twice in the neck twice last month. I want to be so big, so white. I hope I become so big and so white that G-Eazy will say, damn, this nigga's white." And everyone will agree and nod. "I want to be so big and white that people are scared. What if this spreads? What if everyone starts to get big and white? What if this works for everyone and everyone can experience this whiteness and this bigness? I hope I can become too big and too white, but I am just a black male." And then I think time skip. "I want people to understand I wasn't under any influence last night. After hearing a friend sobbing and after talking with my mom, I wrote this poem. I've been threatened by police twice this year, hand on holster, and I'm Childish Gambino. So when someone calls me a white rapper, I want to make sure they understand I don't have all the benefits." Donald Glover, Childish Gambino, went on to be interrogated on this string of tweets, as I'll go on to show in just a second. But before that, I want to do a little bit of detective work to put our investigation goggles on. Because to me, the gist of this is that whiteness is almost a metaphor for being kind of blank or like untainted, you know, for people to not have these preconceived ideas and beliefs about you. Donald Glover fundamentally still wanted to be him. He still wanted to be black, so to speak. He just didn't want to have the preconceived notions of what being black meant.
Let's talk about that, because on Twitter you said, "I want to be a white rapper."
Yes.
You said, "I want to be so white I'm the biggest rapper of all time."
What if big and white?
Twitter is only 140 characters. Can you taken out of context? What did it mean?
That poem's about freedom. I do want to be big and white. I want to be like Will Smith is big and white.
But why is white the bar?
Because whiteness is blankness. It's because they look at it as a blank slate. Like when you come in, you can be anything. Like as a black person, I constantly have to know what a person is assuming about me.
Whiteness is blankness. You know, for as progressive and woke as we've become, I think that the gist of what Donald Glover is getting at is true. Insofar that people are going to be granted blankness in general, which I feel like, you know, nobody in actuality is afforded complete blankness, so to speak, but black people are exceptionally not granted that. And this pops up in kind of like trivial stuff, so, you know, how for some people, it was almost like a mind-blowing thing that like Donald Glover could be both black and like the Cranberries at the same time. And for me, I guess the parallel would be like be black and like Fall Out Boy and punk. Because like underneath that, it's like, how can you like this thing that's outside of the purview of things that your people are allowed to like, you know? It's almost as if it's fundamentally transgressive, which, you know, generally speaking, if a white was like, oh, I like the Cranberries, you know, people probably wouldn't bat an eyelid about it, because it's like, yeah, whether you did or didn't, that's fine. Whereas for a black person, it's like, whoa, that says something, you know? I think you also see an example of how whiteness is blankness, and some of you aren't going to like this, because particularly if you're on the progressive side, perhaps. However, I think you see it in the readiness and acceptability of race-swapping characters, let's say, because the subtext to me, the thing that's implicit within that is, well, of course you can race-swap a white character, because being white isn't integral to who the character is, whereas if it's a black character, it's like, whoa, you can't race-swap the black character because being black is fundamental to who they are. That says something about the character, and it's like, does it? You know what I mean? There's something in here. I'll save it for another time. It will come up in another video, so, you know, subscribe for that. But yeah, this, oh, you can't do it to a black character, it's fundamental to who they are. But white isn't. You're happy to do that all the time. Whiteness is blankness. It's almost as if it's like a character that hasn't been like coloured in. So it's like, well, you can really make them into anything. It doesn't really matter. It's not integral to the character anyway. Whereas if it's a black person, what? Heavens, how dare you even bring that up as anything that we could actually do? What are you, racist? Gambino's philosophy, Donald Glover's philosophy, is not actually that he wants to be white. It's merely that he doesn't want to be encumbered by the negative connotations of what being black means. And this is, let's say, in direct contrast to a song that Jay-Z, or as we call him in the UK, Jay-Z, we don't actually do that. This is in direct contrast to a song that Jay-Z released, I believe in 2016, called The Story of OJ, which includes the lyrics, light nigga, dark nigga, faux nigga, real nigga.
Rich nigga, po nigga, house nigga, feel nigga, still nigga.
Which is essentially, it doesn't matter what you do, you'll always only ever amount to, in the perception of other people, of being a nigger. Nigger being negative connotation.
I thought the song Talking to OJ was particularly powerful. I took the message as, you can be rich, you can be poor, you're still black.
It's a somewhat pessimistic view of things, and by contrast, I'm not necessarily saying that Donald Glover's beliefs about race perception are on the optimistic side, say, but they're certainly different than the status quo, you know, or certainly different from the beliefs being put forward by Jay-Z. This want, say, for being black or blackness being just as much as a blank slate as being white is, actually lines up with some black academics' work, so like race abolitionism or the theory of racelessness, which isn't about denying that ethnicity is real, it's merely saying that the connotations or the ways of being, that you don't have to adhere to them, whether that's about yourself or whether it's about projecting that onto other people. It's allowing people to be individuals is essentially what I'm getting at. I'm going to tie up what happened with Donald Glover, what happened with Donald for Spider-Man, and reveal the day that Donald Glover became black in just a second. However, before I get to that, I want to highlight other people who have had a quest, or side quest at least, of what I would refer to as race individuation. Beginning with recent Donald Glover Childish Gambino fan, Tyler the Creator.
Yes, sir! Yo, make some noise for Tyler the Creator.
You know what's sick? I used to hate that nigga. Thank you for putting out shit that exceeds expectation or the perception that niggas like us should make.
So you may be wondering what Tyler means by people like us. And as discussed, the perception is seemingly that if you don't do enough things, if you don't hit the quota, say, for things that would make you black, the perception is that you essentially default to being white.
7th grade, they used to fuck with me because I was I wore black trucker hats and fucking
the shiny fucking little accessories, like all black fucking Slipknot and good Charlotte tees and shit. Just, they used to call me white boy and shit, and I hated that shit. Like, why can't I just be a fucking human? My friend Earl said this in a song, but I was too white for the black kids, and I was too black for the white kids. So I kind of didn't really fit much into a certain spot.
Cause I wasn't like a tough, I was definitely climbing roofs and like being crazy, but I wasn't like tough and shit. And niggas, I walk up to, hey, what's up? Hey, check out this Jamiroquai CD.
Which one?
Get that shit out of here, nigga.
Again, here is black culture, and if you're outside of that box, you're not one of us. I find the thing that is most, I'm gonna call a spade, dumb, stupid, about this perception of what is constituted as black culture is that, again, what is constituted as black culture, which I suppose for, you know, full transparency of context, we're essentially just talking about American black culture, although it probably leads into some UK black culture too. Western black culture, post-colonial black culture, it's relatively new. So to confine it into this thing as though it's like this set and crystallized thing, that's a limited mindset, bro. I don't know.
Black culture in America is still in many ways in its defining process of like, what is black? Right? Because you'll tell people, oh, you don't speak black. Well, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, oh, you don't, you ain't really black.
Black people don't do that. Niggas where I'm from don't do that type of shit. But it's like, dude, stop hindering us indirectly and putting us in a box. Like, don't be our enemy too.
Right.
Like, sometimes, man, people don't know what that shit does for like some 12-year-old dark-skinned kid when they're just being curious and someone that look like them says, you not us. Because you doing that, or don't do that, or you not us. And it's like, bro, they look in the mirror. Their brain is doing that. You cannot do that.
You know, once upon a time, I was a young sprog, and like Donald Glover, I also had a moment in time where I wasn't necessarily the only black kid in my school, but I was very consistently the only black kid in my class. And so I knew what it felt like to feel racially alienated, say, relative to the whites, but I didn't necessarily know what it felt like to be racially alienated relative to the blacks. Once upon a time, I lived in a fairly diverse area, and then there was a moment that I moved to a less diverse area, both equally as poor. And yeah, for a short stint, I was a minority upon minorities, you know, but then we moved back to the more diverse area, say. And when I did, you know, I changed schools and blah, blah, and I remembered this moment where there was this group of girlies that initially thought I was like attractive, and every time we walked past one another in the corridors and such, they would, ooh, Leighton, I don't know, dude. Ooh, woo. I find him me and my cohort of black girls find him attractive. And then there was a moment after about a year where, you know, after like the summer holiday or whatever, I had like a different hair style, let's say, and then those same black girlies that were once upon a time, ooh, Leighton, were then, Leighton, and started asking me of like, oh, are you gay? And it's like, no, just have different hair now. I haven't coincided having a different haircut with sucking dick. Not yet, anyway, no, I'm kidding. And then in regard to like the racial alienation, like in terms of like how much it like trickles down, there was a moment where like I was at my grandma's, rest in peace, now anyway, I was at my grandma's, and there was a point where like me and my cousin, black cousin, were going to go to the park together, and I guess I was just gonna go outside in a t-shirt. I was wearing bottoms too, not on a Winnie the Pooh ting. But like, you know, without an overcoat or whatever. And he made a comment about like, oh, you're just gonna go out in a t-shirt, that's so white. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you really, there were really moments in time you really couldn't do anything without it being like a racially charged thing. It's like, mate, I'm just trying to live. It's summer, I don't need more layers. Apparently me not needing more layers means that I'm Caucasian now. What are we talking about? You know what I mean? So I'm editing this very video that you're watching right now, and I'm realizing that I missed out the most crucial detail of racial discrimination. The time when the internet started calling me a coon, and I had to make a video response about it, so that was fun. There was never really a moment where I resented being black, but I think I had a resentment towards like the ideas of what that was supposed to mean for me. Because like from an early age, I guess I was like outside the purview of stuff that people that look like me are supposed to do, you know? I was one of the weird kids, you know, the anime kids, the punk metal kids, the skateboard kids. Which, speaking of, there was a moment, and this is like years later or so, I don't know, I was probably about 20, give or take. There was a moment where like a friend of mine showed me this spoken word poem of this geezer, this guy, doing a poem called Adrenaline Rush, and it starts off with a pretty funny observation. It's about, you know, volcano surfing.
Is a sport in which an individual rides down an active volcano at speeds up to 50 miles per hour using nothing but a wooden board.
And then the kind of astute, kind of humorous response to that, say, is...
When I first heard about this sport, I thought to myself, it must be nice to feel so safe you have to invent new ways to put yourself in danger.
So that, you know, ha funny. But then there's a later point in that poem where he mentions about how, like, you know, having a conversation with a friend or something, and the friend supposedly says something about how, like, oh, why aren't there more black people in the X Games? And it's like, because being black is already extreme enough. It's like, bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? First of all, forget merely participating in the X Games. Black people have been winning the X Games for fucking years. Like Nigel Houston, who is damn near the face of skateboarding at the minute and has been for like at least half a decade, if not a decade, upon merely participating, has won more X Games than I have fingers.
Nigel Houston has ensured his 12th career X Games gold.
This idea that, like, extreme sports, skateboarding isn't for black people, it's so fucking goofy, bro. Like, I was in London the other day, and there's a skate park near the London Eye, and I was like sat there for maybe about an hour or so, and I swear to God, bro, I saw more black skaters there than I did white ones, which is pretty peculiar just on numbers alone, because like the vast majority of the UK is white. Mate, Tyler the Creator skates a geezer on YouTube called Steezy Kane skates. I skate, bro. I didn't say well. For all the black people that complain about, you know, racism and things of that nature, a lot of these issues, the scream is coming from inside the house. It's a lot of finger wagging from black people to other black people. Frankly, this finger wagging can come in the form of like people like Dr. Umar, who I'm not even sure if they're a real doctor. I'm gonna keep it a stack. Dr. Umar having this, what would you even call it?
People want to know, can you be pro-black and date outside your race?
Absolutely not.
And I got my good brother right here, you know, who's an advocate, and he says that you can be pro-black and date outside.
Impossible. See, when you marry, you don't marry an individual, you marry into a race. Absolutely not. You cannot talk black and sleep white. Why would I want to take my original seed, God's seed, and put it in a cave-dwelling organism?
Venomous take, say, on people that have interracial dating, something that Donald Glover does with him being in a relationship with a girlie called Michelle White. Michelle White, more like Michelle Asian. I actually don't know what ethnicity this shorty is. And honestly, seemingly, neither does the rest of the internet. You have YouTube's very own black intellectual titan, FD Signifier, talking about how, oh, you can tell when black guys date white women because of their hairline. We call that the I date white women hairline. It's like, that shit's so fucking goofy, bro.
Is it fair to say you can tell the type of nigga that don't date black women?
Yo, I heard a great take on that. I heard a great take from a black woman.
The hairline is the indicator. I can see that.
Yes,
I
Childish Gambino.
But Childish Gambino is
Childish Gambino only dates white women.
Yeah, that is true, yeah.
First of all, who cares who's dating who? And second of all, it's like, this is the thing. Ooh, the hairline that you have. I'm like, sorry, we can't have crispy hairlines. You know, underneath this, my shit looking like Vegeta, bro. And you've got him talking about ABBA, saying he's an Uncle Tom because they have beliefs that I don't agree with, so I'm going to absent them from the category of black. You're not really black, you're a coon. It's like, dude, you're a fucking goofy, bro.
And that's coons. Let me tell you what I find frustrating about coons. This is the problem with coon, like coonery. What is a token and what is a coon? But the thing about a coon is the opportunity to coon. What the coon's problem is,
as a coon, as a token.
It depends on what position the coon token is in. And I'm gonna go with the coon over token.
Suffice it to say, my point is, throughout this bit happening here and throughout the, you know, entirety of the video, black people are under the scrutiny of other black people for what they constitute as actually being black, what is, you know, culturally black, let's say. Which is precisely why when a black person does something that is transgressive, that does something that's outside of their usual box, so to speak, I can't help but be like lit up inside, because I know that like within them there's this spirit of like, I know that I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm gonna do it anyway, you know. It's for the love of it, you know. There's a certain courageousness that one must have to risk being ostracized for shit that quite frankly isn't even really that important. Like, I don't know, the way you dress, the music you listen to, the person you're in a relationship with. I heard you were black and are in a relationship with somebody and you didn't ask me first. I love seeing black skateboarders. I mean, I love seeing skateboarders in general, but I especially love seeing black skateboarders. I love seeing black people in rock bands. I love seeing black cottagecore girlies making a living off of making pottery out of mud that they found in the ground. Whether they know it or not, all of those people are expanding the circumference of what one can do. Black people being able to do some of the things that I've just spoken about, you know, be more expressive, more creative, act outside of the normative bounds of what's considered blackness. I think it's all in direct consequence from people merely being themselves, fighting to be themselves, you know, like people like Donald Glover and Tyler, the Creator. So on one hand, of course, this video is about Donald Glover, but on another, it's about freedom. Freedom to be oneself, to be authentic to oneself, and then inspire other people like a ripple effect to be themselves also. I'm trying to do that. I hope you're trying to do that. And of course, as you know, subject to the video, Donald Glover is and has been trying to do that also.
I'm saying like my job right now is to make sure that other kids, like Lil Black, is like feel like they can do whatever they want.
Doing things that are considered irregular so that the next generation can do the same without being at the risk of being told that they're acting white, without the fear of being told that you're not us, you're not really black. Because the idea that you can be not really black because you're not doing black the way that certain people want you to do it is fucking stupid. There is no guidebook on performing something that you already are. Which is why James Baldwin once said, "The value placed on the colour of the skin is always and everywhere and forever is a delusion." And so, to answer the question, the day that Donald Glover became black is not in 2018, it's not in 2016, it of course is much earlier because it was in 1983, the 25th of September, also known as the day that he was born. You know what I just realised? I never actually finished off what happened with Donald for Spider-Man. So as you're probably aware, the role in actuality went to Andrew Garfield. And at the time, Donald Glover merely had to settle for an Easter egg, a cameo, if you will, a reference where he sprang out of bed in his Spider-Man pajamas in the opening for season 2 of Community. For a time, the most that we would see crossover with Donald Glover and Spider-Man was seeing him as a cameo in Spider-Man Homecoming.
I don't want those weapons in this neighborhood. I got a nephew who live here.
But underneath, under the direct influence of Donald Glover, those boys and gals at Marvel were cooking up, bro.
It was funny because around the same time, an actor named Donald Glover from Community was half jokingly campaigning to get the new Spider-Man movie role. That he, you know, and a part of his stand-up was along the same lines, is that if you read the description of Peter Parker, that's not the description of a white kid.
My name is Miles Morales. I was bitten by a radioactive spider, and for like 2 days, I've been the one and only Spider-Man.
Now, a lot of people, when Miles Morales initially came out, were, you know, in the same way that we've had Not My President, we also had Not My Spider-Man, so to speak. And in an almost meta way, in the second Spider-Verse film, there is a moment wherein all of the Spider-Men and women, all the Spider people, gang up on Miles because essentially he wants to do Spider-Man differently.
You can't ask me not to save my father. I'm not asking.
My God, just give him a second.
So the entirety of the Spider Society fucking chase down this kid. He's like 15 years old or something, getting chased down by fucking hundreds of different Spider people, right? And he's hitting him with the fucking weave. And Geezer's ducking and diving all of them, you know, finessing the whole situation. There's a point where the head honcho, the head authority of Spider Society fucking slam dunks this dude on what I could only describe as like a train going up into space or whatever. And he gets into this boy's ear, right, talking about,
you don't belong here. You never did.
If that isn't the central theme to Donald Glover's life, Tyler the Creator's life, many instances of my life, whether it's like externally or internally, like, you know, imposter syndrome and things of like, you don't belong here. So then when Miles responds, both verbally and physically, it feels like it's almost like on behalf of anybody that's almost been like an outsider or shunned because they didn't like meet the status quo, so to speak. There's a multitude of ways that Miles could have went about this situation. On one hand, he could have been like, yes, I do belong here actually, but he doesn't do that. Like Donald Glover, he doesn't do that. He doesn't curtail himself to become something that he's not, to be boxed into something that he's not. Because Miles is like, essentially, mate, you can keep your fucking Spider Society shit. I don't want to be a part of it anyway. Fuck you and your whole squad too.
Everyone keeps telling me how my story is supposed to go. Nah, I'm gonna do my own thing.
Shout out to Donald Glover, shout out to Miles Morales, and shout out to anybody that has ever been told, you don't belong here, and then been like, okay, if that's the case, I'm gonna just do my own shit. You can eat a fucking dick. And thanks for hanging out with me. I had fun hanging out with you. Parasocial relationship game. Yeah.
100.
Yeah.
Maybe Jesus was black. Maybe Jesus had dreads. Spider-Man should be black. I vote for Glover instead. Glover instead.